Unit number 2, structural organization in plants and animals. The description of diverse forms of life on Earth was made only by observation, through naked eyes or later through the magnifying lenses and microscopes. This description is mainly of gross structural features, both external and internal. In addition, observable and perceivable living phenomena were also recorded as a part of this description. Before experimental biology, or more specifically physiology, was established as a part of biology, naturalists describe only biology. Hence, biology remained as a natural history for a long time. The description by itself was amazing in terms of detail. While the initial reaction of a student could be boredom, one should keep in mind that the detailed description was utilized in the later day reductionist biology, where the living processes drew more attention from scientists than the description of life forms and their structure. Hence, this description became meaningful and helpful in framing research questions in physiology or evolutionary biology. In the following chapters of this unit, the structural organization of plants and animals, including structural basis of physiological or behavioral phenomena, is described. For convenience, this description of morphology and anatomical features is presented separately for plants and animals. Catherine Esau was born in Ukraine in 1989. यानी कि 1960 से 2 साल पहले. She studied agriculture in Russia and Germany and received her doctorate in 1931 in United States. She reported in her early publications that the curly top virus spreads through a plant via the food conducting or phloem tissue. Dr. Esau's plant anatomy, published in 1954, took a dynamic development approach designed to enhance one's understanding of plant structure and an enormous impact worldwide, literally bringing about a review of the discipline. The Anatomy of Seed Plants by Catherine Esau was published in 1960. It was referred to as the Webster's of the plant biology. It is encyclopedic. In 1957, she was elected to the National Academy of Sciences, becoming the sixth woman to receive the honor. In addition to this prestigious award, she received the National Medal of Science from the President George W. Bush in 1989. When Catherine Esau died in the year 1997, Peter Rabin, the director of the Anatomy and Morphology, Missouri Botanical Garden, remembered that she absolutely dominated the field of plant biology even at the age of 99. Now chapter number 5, Morphology of Flowering Plants. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperms show such a large diversity in external structures or morphology, they are all characterized by the presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptations of the plants to their environment. Example: adaptation to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. Figure 5.1. Coming to the root, the first part हम plant का पढ़ेंगे, the root. In majority of the dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of the primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as the secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the taproot system. Okay, as seen in the mustard plant. In monocotyledonous plants, the primary roots is short-lived and replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat plant. So, mustard plant is a dicot and wheat plant is a monocot. In some plants like grasses, monstera and the banyan tree, in some plants like grasses, monstera and banyan tree, roots arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. Okay, the main function of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food materials and synthesis of plant growth regulators. So this is the diagram showing a parts of a flowering plant. There is a primary root, secondary root, and this is the root system, and this is a shoot system, bud, node, internode, leaf, stem, fruit, flower. Now coming to these diagrams, this is the taproot system with primary roots and secondary tertiary roots, and this one is the fibrous root system, generally in the monocots. The primary root is replaced by many fibrous roots, and this last diagram is showing the adventitious roots. Topic: regions of the root. Okay. Root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. Tender apex of the root को protect करती है. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled, and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region under rapid elongation and enlargement are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to the region of the elongation is called the region of maturation. So, region of elongation is region of maturation. From this region, region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structures called the root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. So as we can see here in the diagram, all the parts. The modification of roots. Roots in some plants change their shape and structure and become modified to perform functions other than absorption and conduction of water and minerals. They are modified for support, storage of food, and respiration. Taproots of carrot, turnip, and adventitious roots of sweet potato. Taproots of carrot, turnip, and adventitious root of sweet potato get swollen and store food. Can I give such more examples? Have you ever wondered what are those hanging structures that support a banyan tree? These are called prop roots. Similarly, the stem of the maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of the stem. These are called stilt roots. In some plants such as Rhizophora growing in swampy areas. Rhizophora growing in swampy areas, many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upward. Such roots are called pneumatophores, help to get oxygen for respiration. Pneumatophores. So here is the diagram showing the asparagus root for storing food, and this is the turnip, carrot, sweet potato, and this is the pneumatophores. Now after the root, starting with the stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where the leaves are born are called nodes, while the internodes are the portion between the two nodes. The stem bears birds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches, bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts water, minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform function of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. Now the modification of stem. The stem is not always be typically like what they are expected to be. They are modified to perform functions, different functions. Underground stems of potato, ginger, turmeric, zameenkand, colocasia are modified to store food in them. ठीक है, अंडरग्राउंड स्टेम्स ऑफ पोटैटो, जिंजर, टर्मरिक, जमीनकंद, कोलोकेशिया, अंडरग्राउंड स्टेम्स इनके फूड स्टोर करेंगे. दे ऑल्सो एक्ट एज द ऑर्गन ऑफ पेरिनेशन टू टाइड ओवर द कंडीशंस अनफेवरेबल फॉर ग्रोथ. Stem tendrils which develop from axillary bud. Stem tendrils which develop from axillary bud. Which bud? Axillary bud. Are slender and spirally coiled and help the plant to climb, such as in gourds, cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon and grapevines. ठीक है, तो एक्सिलरी बर्ड्स में से निकलती है स्टेम टेंड्रिल्स. एंड एक्सिलरी बर्ड्स फिर से ऑफ स्टेम्स may also get modified into woody, straight and pointed thorns. Thorns are found in many plants such as citrus and bougainvillea. They protect the plant from browsing animals. Some plants of arid region modify for their stems into flattened opuntia or fleshy cylindrical euphorbia. Arid region के some plants modify their stems into flattened opuntia or fleshy cylindrical euphorbia structures. They contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. Underground stems of some plants such as grass and strawberry etc. spread into new niches, and when older parts dies, new plants are formed. In plants like mint and jasmine, slender lateral branch arises from the base of the stem to the main axis, and after growing aerially for some time, arch downward to touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internodes and each node bearing rosette of leaves and tuft of roots. Lateral branch with short internodes short होंगी, and each node bearing a rosette of leaves and tuft of roots is found in aquatic plants like Pistia and Eichhornia. In banana, pineapple and chrysanthemum, the lateral branches originate from the basal and underground portion of the main stem, grow horizontally beneath the soil, and then come out obliquely upward, giving rise to leafy shoots. The next number, leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. Axillary bud जिसको बोलेंगे हम. द एक्सिलरी बर्ड, जहाँ से कि हमारे स्टेम के वही ये अपने थॉर्न वगैरह और टेंड्रिल्स वगैरह निकले थे. द एक्सिलरी बर्ड लेटर डेवलप्स इनटू अ ब्रांच. लीव्स ओरिजिनेट फ्रॉम द शूट एपिकल मेरिस्टेम्स and are arranged in a acropetal order. Leaves originate from the shoot apical meristem. तो shoot apical meristem होता है ना shoot के लिए, उससे से leaves originate होते हैं and are arranged in a acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures called stipules. ठीक है, दो stipules भी हो सकते हैं. stipules होंगे बिल्कुल बेस में, यहाँ पे जैसे डायग्राम में दिख रहा है साइड में. ठीक है, in monocotyledonous the leaf base expand into sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole help to hold the blade to light. Long thin flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing the fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is a green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. The veins provide rigidity to the leaf base and act as the channels of transport for water, minerals and food materials. The shape, the margin, apex, surface and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. नेक्स्ट हम बात करते हैं वेनेशन की. तो देखो, इससे पहले हम डायग्राम देख लेते हैं यहाँ पे. तो ये डायग्राम दिखा रखा है किसका, एक बेसिक टिपिकल लीफ का. लीफ बेस है, इसके अंदर एक्सिलरी बर्ड, पेटियोल, स्टिप्यूल, लेमाइना, ये पेटियोल डंडी, स्टिप्यूल यहाँ पे होता है. और नीचे हमें ये दिखा रखी है रेटिकुलेटर पैरेलल वेनेशन. उससे पहले वाला डायग्राम भी रह गया, ये स्टेम की मॉडिफिकेशन थी स्टोरेज के लिए, ये स्टेम की मॉडिफिकेशन सपोर्ट के लिए टेंड्रिल्स वगैरह बन रहे हैं, और यहाँ पे स्पाइन में काटने में बदल गया है, और ये है वेजिटेटिव प्रोपेगेशन दिखा रखी है, ये दिखा रखे देखो, रूट्स राइजिंग फ्रॉम द नोड्स। आगे हम चलते हैं वेनेशन के ऊपर। तो द अरेंजमेंट ऑफ द वेन्स एंड द वेनलेट्स इन द लेमाना ऑफ द लीफ इज टर्म्ड एज वेनेशन. When the venlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate, and when the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, parallel to each other, the venation is termed as parallel. Leaves of the dicotyledonous plant generally possesses reticulate venation, while the parallel venation is characterized of the most monocots. आगे देख लेते टाइप्स ऑफ लीफ. लीफ इज सेड टू बी सिंपल व्हेन द lamina is entire or when incised the incisions do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present at the axial of the petiole in both the simple and the compound leaves, but not in the axils of the leaflets of the compound leaf. तो compound leaf की axis को क्या बोलते हैं, axial को क्या बोलते हैं, rachis. ठीक है, ध्यान रखना, rachis भी एक टर्म होती है यहाँ पे. अब द कंपाउंड लीव्स मे बी ऑफ टू टाइप्स. इन पिनेटली कंपाउंड लीव्स a number of leaflets are present on the common axis, the rachis, while in the which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. तो neem is example of पिनेटली कंपाउंड. फिर पाल्मेटली कंपाउंड लीफ भी आएगा. तो पिनेटली कंपाउंड लीफ का एग्जांपल देखो, जो नीम है वो यहाँ पे ये दिखा रखा है, और ये है पाल्मेटली कंपाउंड लीफ का एग्जांपल सिल्क कॉटन. ठीक है, कंपाउंड लीफ है दोनों, रैचेस होगी इनमें. अब देखो हम आगे देखते हैं. इन palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached to the common point that is at the tip of the petiole as in silk cotton.